Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Girlfriends Aftershow here on JLJ Media. I'm James Lott Jr., host, and we're back with another episode. We're talking about Season 1, Episode 5 of Girlfriends, the hit TV show from the 2000s. And thank you so much again for all the love and support. I see the numbers coming every week, and I'm like, people are watching the show and listening to it. If you're listening to it as a podcast, hello, podcast listener, I really welcome. And if you're watching it, thank you. And I want to thank Reggie Hayes and Golden Brooks, who each liked my post on it. So hopefully I'll have them on the show at some point. But I want to thank them for liking the post. We're on every streaming service. We're on YouTube, on JLJ Media, everything at JLJ Media, Girlfriends After Show. This one, I always like to show this when I'm here. It's from Season 1. Can you see it? There we go. I have it on DVD. I forgot to write down what this episode was called. This one was called I Pity the Fool. I meant to actually write that down. Okay, so I Pity the Fool. So we open up with Joan and Tony talking in the kitchen at Joan's house. They had just had dinner. Because episode Season 1, we're learning about the girls and learning about everybody. So we see that Tony is living above her means and that Joan has helped her in the past with a car payment. So I like the way they kind of unfold in regular conversation. It's like a regular conversation. They just start talking, and like in real life, they don't always go straight into, so remember that time when I did this for you? It's like, no, it's kind of like they just have a conversation like friends would, and you just would bring it up. I like how casual it is, so we get to learn stuff. Lynn comes in, but apparently she's late. I guess she's always late. There's something about CP time. Again, Girlfriends kind of tells the rest of the world some of the inner things that Black folks or people of color talk about really within themselves. CP time is called Color People time. There's this whole thing that Black folks or people of color are always late to stuff. They can't be on time. And I just love how unapologetic it's brought up. It's just brought up, and it's not meant to be anything like, oh, that's racist or that's this. It's just like it's brought up. It's Black folks how we talk to each other. And Linda and Jonas, this whole thing where she's half Black. Maybe her Black self is late, but her white self should be on time, so she should be on time. It's this whole thing they did. You have to watch the episode. It's really funny, but it's like it's so normal the way they talk about it. So Joan is still seeing Marcus, but she's not really into him. And I just love the dynamics of the women because they're all just like, they talk to each other so regularly. Like, come on, Joan, you always wanted a man. He's a good man. But why aren't you into him? And how's it going to work for you? And I think Joan is very real. I think she's a real person. She brings up a good point. She likes him. He possibly could be a great father, a great husband. But is that enough? There's no passion, no feeling. Is that enough? And I know many people have been in that position before where you're like, you meet somebody who's really nice, and you're like, but there's something missing. And so it's a great thing. She goes to work. Marcus apparently has been sending her tons of flowers. And he stops by with a cell phone. I love these cell phones. They're so old school. He calls it a Joan phone. It's kind of funny. And what she brings up, Joan says after he leaves and stuff, she's talking, that he's not letting her be the girl, whatever that is. And I love that they bring this up because it's kind of controversial in a sense when it comes to dating. So between men and women, there's always the chase. So there's a chaser and the one trying to be caught. And then many times it's the man who does the chasing and the woman plays the part to be caught. And apparently he's chasing heavily, but he's doing stuff in a way that is not the typical, I guess, maybe in her eyes, or maybe in someone's eyes, the masculine thing to do. That's a whole great conversation to be had. And one day when I have him on the show, I want to talk about that. And so William sticks up for Marcus, and he says something that I love this. He says, and I quote, "You don't like a man that treats you well." And that's always another controversial topic for women. Do women always like the bad boy and not the nice guy? There's that term, nice guys finish last. And that's across the board. And that's what's great about the show. It's Black women talking, but it's also, it could be any woman. It could be any race, any age. It's a whole thing about, and men feel that sometimes. And William's a nice guy, so he's talking from experience. And he just says plainly to her, if you want out of it, make a clean break. I think it's a very interesting point he brings up. It's kind of like, well, if you're not really into him for whatever reason, then go about your business. Do not drag it on. But then also, are you not into him because you have this ideal of the bad boy? You know, it brings more excitement, more exciting. It's a question for the ages. I mean, it's going on. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, but it's been going on for years. So that's just something that's been going on. Also, then they go to 847, their restaurant, and she's trying to break up with Marcus. She does her fourth wall, talk to us, and shows throughout the years from when she was a kid, these boys dumping her. Find it funny. And the last one says moving to Peru. So she lies, she's moving to Peru. Marcus says, I love you, which is very fast, and she ends up sleeping with him. The girls debrief. You can tell the time period. They all like Morris Chestnut. That's like one thing like them. And I was thinking, again, when I do this show, I always show you things that I notice that I've never noticed before. That I'm now looking at this as an after show. I'm looking at the show itself. Let me have a little drink of my tea. I'm finding all kinds of stuff. I saw on the table there were Pringles, Aquafina water, Snyder snacks. They were all over the table. Don't know if they're sponsors or not, but they were clearly shown in the shot, so that's good. I love me some Pringles. I don't have any right now. I have stacks of them, but I don't have any Pringles. But she doesn't love Marcus. And they talk about pity sex, which I heard of before back in the day. We talk about when you have sex with someone and because you feel bad or whatever, you just have sex with them. And again, it's so forward for this series to show a Black woman talking about that and doing it. Like, we just don't see it very often. William shows up. He's funny. Tony lets everybody know that Marcus is trying to buy a house and that he is buying a house, the Joan home. And now it's getting serious. So it brings up, and Amaya says, I'll help you get rid of him. So here's the thing. I know in dating, there are folks who feel like, okay, you've gone too fast. There are folks who go fast. But then the bigger picture, there's people who want a relationship. I want to be in love. I want somebody to love me. So it's like that, well, so I always say, you know when you're into somebody. And you know if you want them or not. And it doesn't matter if it's fast or slow, you know. And I always feel like when folks want to say they want to go super slow, they're not really into you. Or they're super scared and super blocked that it's going to take you a long time. And if you have that time, sure, you think they're worth it, that's fine. It does work sometimes. And sometimes it ends up going nowhere. I remember dating someone for 4 months. We went on 3 dates in 4 months. It went super slow, but they did. I do like you. We didn't talk every day. I tried. I mean, like we couldn't. I stuck it out to see what would happen. I was literally like, I just want to see what happens. But literally, we never moved forward. Each date was okay, but there was no passion or anything. There was like that person wasn't yearning for me or anything. But for 4 months, and I slowly slid out. We've never spoke about it since. That was years ago. Never spoke about it since. So I don't know. I think there's a thing about that is, and then there's people you meet and you lock in and you're like, oh my goodness. I don't know. It's just, again, it's that whole, what's too fast, what's too slow. If you like someone, does it matter? If you don't kind of like them, does it matter? I don't know. It's a lot of stuff. But this show brings it up. There's a whole sequence 847. They got to do the whole silly stuff because it is a comedy. So they have the real talk and real stuff. Then they have the sitcom-y silly stuff where they're all these ladies trying to tell him that Marcus is bad. It doesn't work out, and he's just kind of crazy. And then William does this whole bit about she was a man, and she used to be a man. Marcus clearly knows it's not true. He calls out Joan, but then they sleep together again, but they break up this time. And actually, it was a nice breakup. There was nothing. They were kind of laughing. They realized it was kind of like a clean break. There was nothing bad. But the lesson is you should be honest with the person you're talking to. That's the thing is the lesson. Just be honest with them and let them know that some people it's not there. Well, it is there. But I kind of like they were just like they started laughing at the end and it was all good. So that was episode 5. And again, we're only on episode 5. Like, they're already talking about serious subjects, about relationships. They're throwing it all in. And we're getting to know the girls and what they think. there hasn't been a big Lynn story yet, which is coming, will be coming up. And because I've watched the series, so I know what's happening. Many of you watched it too, but that's gonna be coming up soon. Maya's gonna start getting a storyline really big soon. So it's like right now we're establishing Joan and kind of Joan's patterns, which really do go throughout the whole series. It really does inform the series because she is kind of the center of the girls. But they all very much get their time, and they all have the different ideas, and the writing is just so good. But I just love the fact that they really do talk like girlfriends. So they talk like they talk like way Black folks talk to each other, as a language we say to each other, and they're bringing up words and things. And this series does it so well, and which we'll be continuing to talk about that, of course. I'm James Lott Jr. Girlfriends After Show. It's on all streaming services under JLJ Media. Girlfriends After Show, YouTube, JLJ Media. The show is on DVD. Like I said, you can get on DVD really cheap if you want to do it and follow along with me. Or CW Seed is doing Girlfriends, and BET Her is doing it. I can't remember what season BET Her is on. I wish I had known they were doing them. I would have done them along with them, but I didn't know. But again, you can watch Girlfriends and have a good time and watch them. I'm James Lott Jr. Please wash your hands, wear a mask, stay safe, and be respectful to each other.